So I have I have decorated a little 2-inch tin, and it is the holder for this tiny little journal that I've made out of a long strip of paper and a couple dominoes. I use these old stamps for the cover journal. Pretty tricky to stamp perfectly. That is why there's this dash below the L, but that's okay. And then this is some paper that I've stenciled and decorated. This is washi tape that's in the journal quite a bit. This is some vintage wool felt for the bottom. And then this is me on the inside, Sarah Wolf 2025. And this is the little baby. Barely fits, but I was looking for some sort of old vintage box, but they're all a little bit too big, but I think this is great. The closure here, I've used this old Rhodalure. It's kind of chenille-like. I don't know if you can see it. There's a bunch of stuff on it. My apologies. They're cute. It's almost like pipe cleaner. And then for the binding, I used strands of this 4-strand candle wicking thread. And then let's dive in. This is the front, one up, a little tiny bow. The paper I used is from an old 1950s Brazil tropical flower book. And here's the inside. Each of the valleys on this side have a 3-page signature in each little section. I've used here, let me open it up before I go through each one. I just think it's totally cool. Like that. Each valley on the inside has the signatures. The front, I put a washi sticker. Not sure why, but I did. This is some paper that I've stenciled and dyed. This is from a guest check. This is some nice textured yellow paper. And then we've got the mountain with nothing. This is from a old French medical encyclopedia. This is some, so the whole body itself was the book page. And then I had these really old maps that I cut the white border off of. And that's what this is from, but the inside, I had to back this paper because it's so old that it cracks when you fold it. And I've used that paper a few times as a page and signatures throughout the little journal. This right here, got some nice foxing to it. And I've got a mountain, and this is some crinkled up paper that I've dyed, coffee dyed, and did some stenciling on, and lots of experimental stuff. Some old map. This is not the map that I used the paper trim from. Guest check. The individual pages are about 7/8 of an inch, and it's about 1 3/4 inch high. So I cut little squares. I did just slightly under a 1 3/4 inch square, just so these wouldn't be sticking out of the side of the journal. This is from a certificate paper. This is the border from the certificate. And it's nice. It's a fancy paper. This is from an old steno notepad. This is more from the French medical encyclopedia. Some of the candle wicking thread. This is from a little book. It has a really sweet border on every single page. Let me see if I can grab that real quick. So this is the book. I've used it several times in a lot of things, but the border, what is this from? 1900. This paper is really fragile too, but each page has a wonderful border around it. And then I used the top piece that had some bees and the flowers on it. So I used that a couple times in a couple of the signatures. I don't know where I was. Oh, right here. Yep, I have to glue that down a little bit better. But this paper was so fragile that when I folded it and sewed it in, it ripped. So I had to use some washi tape in there to piece it in. More of that guest check. These were dyed guest checks that I did. And then this is a section from the Brazil page that I used for the base. And this is the last signature. More of that certificate paper, my paper, and map paper. And that's the end. And then I didn't really quite leave my tails long enough, so it's a little bit tricky to tie this. Gotta start it out pretty small, but extremely adorable little loop. And then what I have found is that the tail, if it's sticking out of the canister that holds everything together snugly. And then it just goes back in here. Just a little push. Have that sticking out the back. Blam. That's perfect. So cute.